3 years ago when I first really spent a lot of time with your teachings, Abraham, I was doing it from a point of crisis, or at least what I felt was crisis.
Yeah.
And it took, because it was in my head that it was going to be a lot of work. It was.
Yeah.
And continually refining my thoughts to the positive and focusing on my feeling and integrating the philosophy felt like work. Ultimately, the lesson that I needed to understand most was that it actually is easy.
Yeah, that's so annoying, though.
Yeah.
And it's not what you want to hear when you're having a hard time about something. We want to interject something here as a sort of basis of where this is going. Because if you can hear this, it speeds things up for you. That distance between where you stand and where you want to be can be shorter. So consider this. Everything is about focus. The law of attraction responds to the vibrational frequency of your attention, of your meaning, of whatever it is you are flowing. Your emotions match it to help you to understand that. If you've been listening to us for a while, you get all of that. And we'll circle back during these hours that we're together and make sure that you really get why about all of that. But this is the point that we want to make right here at the outset of this conversation. Yes, when you focus and keep attention on something, it's going to come to more manifestation and more and more and more and more. Oh, we're pausing for dramatic effect because we really want you to hear this. What happens with so many of you is that you've got a thought process going, expectation, as you were inferring earlier, expectation that feels so normal because it's been going on so long and people around you do the same sort of thing, and you haven't been thinking that much about the power of your own thought. You've mostly just been an observer of stuff. So you've had the fire on and it's becoming more and more. Esther's exact thoughts were that water had to get this hot before it could get this hot, before it could get this hot, before it could get this hot. And there was something about the realization of the incremental trending, mooring, becoming more, that hit a place in Esther's understanding that had not been touched quite that well before. So here's the thing that we really want you to hear. If you wait till you have a manifestation that is not what you want, your human tendency, we get it, we understand it, is to now need to take some form of action to compensate for this manifestation, because here it is, you're seeing it, hearing it, smelling it, tasting it, touching it, and it just does not occur to hardly any of you that it got started with vibration and you could begin to alter it with vibration, because once it's manifested, it feels like you need to dive in. And that's what holds it. It's what slows the turnaround, because you could have a manifestation that is unwanted. It wouldn't matter what it is, really. It would not matter what it is. And you could say, oh, whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Wasn't paying attention. Think I'll do something else now. Then you could just take a new pot with some new water and put it on a new fire and turn it on, and it would start becoming what you want it to become. But you don't do that because you got this pot to deal with. And you deal with that pot with action, with thoughts that feel like concern and injustice and victimhood and so if we could just convey, and you could really get that every thought has power and every thought will grow in its power, and you have the ability to focus without contradiction, and you could get a whole lot more of what you want a whole lot faster if you just understood that and were willing to remove your attention from unwanted rather than wrestle it to the ground and kill it. Because when you dig in, when you dive in, and you know what, the thing that you most commonly do when faced with a manifestation that you don't want, or even faced with the absence of a manifestation that you do want, you explain it to death. Because there's a part of you, here's why, here's exactly why. You know at many levels of your being, most of them not conscious to you right now, but they could be, you came with that from non-physical into this time and space, knowing that you are good and that life is supposed to be good for you. This is bubbling at deep levels of your core, your very being. So when something is off, when something isn't the way you want it to be, you're throwing these fits because you understand at some level that it's supposed to be good, and the fact that it isn't makes you defensive, makes you want to explain it, makes you want to double down, makes you want to explain why you're here rather than where you want to be. And a lot of it is because you're playing to the peanut gallery that surrounds you.
Right.
Because you chose this and it's a good thing, and bless your hearts, we feel your pain sometimes. No, we never do. It's just something nice to say to people. That when you are surrounded by other people who are observing, it's true, they are having observational thoughts about you. And something in you makes you feel like you need to explain to these observers around you why you're standing here in this place. But it causes you to go on and on and on and on and on. The other day, favorite news story, Esther heard it secondhand from her daughter, her family, mom, dad, teenager, on their way Saturday morning to get bagels, the only really good place in town that has them. And they got there, two of them went in, mom waited in the car, they went in, they were gone a little while, not long. They came back and they said, they're out of bagels. What? How can they be out of bagels? They're out of bagels. But how? How can they be out of bagels? This is called the bagel shop. It's not the out of bagel shop. What kind of management do they have? It's not even that late in the day. It's early in the day. Don't tell me this is supply chain. They make them in there. What do you mean they're out of bagels? How can they be out of bagels? And then Luke, brilliant at times, said, guys, can't they just be out of bagels? Can't they just be out of bagels? Do we have to talk about this until I graduate from high school? And yet, what makes you want to defend where you stand? Or what do you think that is? It's a determination to get what you want. But can you feel what we're getting at here? That's not going to get you any bagels. And when you practice that sort of thinking, of looking at what is when what is doesn't please you, and spending any time at all on what is that doesn't please you, you know what you do? You keep a fire under a pot that trends and trends and trends, and we promise you, well, it's not our promise, we're nicer than that. The law of attraction promises you. Law of attraction is very friendly, consistent in its friendliness. Law of attraction will bring you whatever it is that you're offering vibrationally.